Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Gentry's Journey. And we have our honored guest today is Judge Lorraine Williams Pringle. We have been knowing each other for a very, very long time. I think sixth grade is where we may have met, but we didn't connect until we graduated high school. Okay. So, which is good, which is good. And so,
Well, actually, we connected before because we were at church together a
mhm,
ton of Sundays.
yeah,
But then on a deeper level, we connected after high school.
for real, because Lorraine had the audacity to move out of the state. Then when she came
How
back, I'm
dare
like,
she?
I said, oh, so okay, so you and Elsa decided to come back and join the crew, so okay, back to join the crew, and that is the beginning of one of those stages in life, and that was our young adult college years stage in life. So,
Oh, Lord.
so I am a part of survivor's remorse, but I had a different take on survivor's remorse. So my chapter is going to be definitely different. Whenever you read it, you will understand why I say mine is different than other people.
Okay.
Because sometimes you have to leave people behind in order to do what you have to do. So yes, you are the survivor, but I don't have any remorse for, going about my career path, is what I'm saying.
And neither do I.
Yeah, so I don't have any remorse for doing what was in my heart to do. So I can't call it survivor's remorse. We survived, but I'm
We
not
did.
remorseful about it at all. Okay, so audience, welcome again to Judge Lorraine Williams Pringle, and this segment is basically titled "The Making of Judge Lorraine W. Pringle." So she's going to take us down memory lane, introduce herself, and tell us about the making of her becoming a judge. It's a fascinating story. It was fascinating seeing her grow and go. That's what we have to do. Let's push each other, not pull each other back. So,
Absolutely.
welcome to our audience.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. So, go ahead and introduce yourself and start with the making of Judge Pringle.
Well, to the listening audience or those about, I am Lorraine W. Pringle, Lorraine Williams Pringle. And I never thought about the making of Lorraine W. Pringle until Carolyn gave me the title. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Let's think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, born a young lady in the South in Alabama, a deeply segregated South at the time, where a young girl at the age of 7 got a rock thrown and hit upside the head for walking down the street and by a car full of white youth and being called the N word for no other reason than just being black. And I was crying. I went home to my mom and I didn't understand because, as I said, I'm walking down the street, not bothering anyone. But I said my mom, but I probably really should have said my grandmother because that's who, although my mother gave me life, and I would never detract or take anything away from Luella.
Amen.
Mary Jane raised Lorraine.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Jane put her whole being into those who would gather around that table with her and who would learn of her. And so, although I've had several strong women in my life to take example out of, Mary Jane, Luella, and Melvani Williams were, to me, the three most women who stand out in my mind, who had a part in making of Lorraine. And by that, growing up with my grandmother and my mom, and then my uncle taking us to Michigan supposedly for a summer vacation that turned into us going to middle school, grade school, middle school, and high school in Detroit. And then that journey started. So, but it still was my grandmother who taught all of us who would listen. You can make something out of yourself. But first and foremost, you got to trust in God and you got to have a relationship with God. Not your mom's relationship, not my relationship, but your relationship with God. As a child, you don't know what that means. Like, what?
No, yeah,
Okay.
that you talk about way over your head. It is way over your
Like,
head.
okay. In my head, whatever that's supposed to mean. Okay. So as time grew on and as I matured and aged, I began to understand exactly what that did mean. So at 16, I was baptized at St. Peter Primitive Baptist Church in Bessemer and began to study and read. Probably not, I know not like I should have, but began to listen to the sermons enough to understand what that lady was telling me, what she was teaching me. And my grandmother was half Cherokee, half black. And because she was half Cherokee Indian, she could never be a nurse because they wouldn't allow it. And that was all she ever wanted to be in her life was a nurse. So her granddaughter became that nurse for her. And I could tell the joy when I would leave the house going to work. She would look at me with my uniform on. You could just see it beaming all over her. And it was always, baby, you need me to make you some lunch. No, Granny, I don't need you to make me any lunch. Yes, let me make you a lunch. And before I walk out the door, I had a lunch. And so, but it was that fulfillment that she could see a part of herself in me because I was a part of her. So
Amen.
so that fulfillment really thrilled me. And I enjoyed being a nurse. I did. Kellen, I don't even know how we both ended up becoming nurses because it wasn't like something we sat down and talked about with each other. It was just like you took a different path getting there started, and I took a different path getting there. And we both was like, what? Really? So we're both here nursing on folks, taking care of folks and thoroughly enjoyed it. And midway through that process, I think I had been an RN about 15 years, and I decided I want to go to law school. So and actually, it was because my nurse manager at the time would get these little notifications, written notifications about XYZ going wrong. And I would see her because we had gone to nursing school together. I'd be like, what is the matter? And she was showing. I was like, oh, okay, girl, just give me this. And I would take it home and write her response to it. And I bring it back and she would be like, you wrote this? And I was like, yeah. And she said, where did you get this? I said, it's in the policy and procedure manual. She's like, you done read that? I said, pretty much. When downtime from taking care of your patients, you got to figure out something to do. It's not too much you can do on the unit. So you read the policy and procedure manual. She said, girl, you need to go to law school. I was like, okay. I thought about it. I prayed about it. I had been married, had divorced the children's father. And I thought, okay, well, everybody will be in school. All three of us will be in school at the same time. So I went to law school at night. I nursed every weekend. I was a full time parent mom during the week. So it was a crafted decision. I talked to members at St. Peter and said, hey, guys, I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to work during the weekend. And would somebody just come by and get the girls on Sunday mornings to make sure that they stayed in church? I said, because I would have come off a 12-hour shift and I need to go to sleep because I got to go back. And they would go, sure. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was the same way with Victoria was the athlete, Taylor was the cheerleader. So the parents would come by and pick them up when they needed them, and so it was a working village unit. And it worked well for me at the time, and it still does in many different aspects. So we did that. I went to law school and came out, graduated, had my law degree, went down there to Montgomery, ill prepared, did not prepare as well as I needed to for that bar exam, and I didn't pass. I missed it by 6 points, and I thought, okay. And not really just doing, it was a lot of family issues going on. And by that, I mean, it was a lot of deaths in the family. So we was in Detroit, maybe one weekend, 3 weekends later, we were in Florida. So I was on the road trying to study by a flashlight in a car and never should have been done. So didn't pass the second go round either. So I just took a year off. And I said, you know what? It's going to be there. Whenever I get ready, whenever I get back to it, it's going to be there.
True.
And so I took a year off and I reserved a room at Birmingham Southern. And for me, taking the bar exam, I took July bar and February bar. Not by far, July bar was better because there's way too many people down there in the summer. And the examiners, they're going to hit the highs and the lows. But in February, it's much less people there. So they have really time to critique your essay writing and everything. And we had to do essay exams plus the multi-state. So I reserved a room at Birmingham Southern and treated the bar exam like a job. I was up every morning in that room at 8 o'clock, not arriving, but in their room seated with a book open. Once I had crafted my model answers for the essay question, put those aside, then look at them again. Then start studying the multi-state. And when I went that time, God walked me through it. So I was like, now, okay, I'm a lawyer. What we do now? Because really, it was just, I don't know, it was just somebody's suggestion. So now I'm a lawyer. I am a Christian. I'm a mom. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a granddaughter. I'm a niece. I'm an auntie. I'm a cousin, but now I'm a nurse and now I'm a lawyer. So what do we do with this? So why did I gravitate to divorces? I don't know, but I did. And I was good at it. And I could craft out a divorce agreement. I could be, the attorneys and I were all civil with each other. And sometimes our clients would be, how can you talk to her? And I'd be like, who? Opposing counsel. I said, we don't have an issue. You and your husband have an issue.
Okay.
So we're not going to turn this into two lawyers' issue. Now we're both going to represent our clients. But I don't have no issue with her. But I'm gonna do what I need to do to get you the best agreement out of this divorce settlement. But I don't have no agreement. I don't have no issues with her.
Sure.
And they was like, oh, I said, y'all, it ain't personal for me. This business. This is truly business.
Mm-hmm.
And so did divorces and didn't do that much in family. When I say family, I mean in the juvenile aspect in the Bessemer division of family court, because at that time, the judge who was there had her particular set of attorneys, and there weren't that many who looked like me. And we weren't getting appointed cases out of family court in Bessemer. We really just were not. And so I had one case that had been in her courtroom for a while, which most family court cases are, and submitted my voucher. And it was 96 hours over probably about 4 years. Never had submitted an interim voucher, had never done anything of that like. And I had seen some interim vouchers that were twice as much as my final bill, my total bill. And she dressed me down in open court. about that voucher. And I stood there, as they would say, I took it on the chin. I got out of that courtroom somehow. I don't even remember how. Found myself standing outside on the sidewalk, and I said, I'm finna take her job. And I started crying, but I said, I'm finna take her job. That's it. So I said a prayer. I prayed about it. And it wasn't like the election was going to, it was time to qualify or anything that next week or anything. It was going to be a whole year or more, about a year before the next election would do for her to run for, to rerun for her seat. So I prayed about it. And you remember when we used to have monitor techs in the unit?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a monitor tech whom I hadn't seen in eons. I mean, it had been about 10 or 15 years. I was on the airport authority, Bessemer Airport Authority, and she came out there one day and she saw me and she said, I hadn't seen you. We, hugged and everything. And she said, well, what are you doing now? And I said, well, I'm an attorney and I'm still nursing. She said, well, why aren't you a judge? Oh, okay, Daddy. I hear you. So now you've given me okay that I can run. Well, for me, okay to run meant okay to win. Because if I'm running to win. So then I had another talk with God and I said, well, listen, I don't have no money. I don't know how I'm supposed to get all this campaign paraphernalia and all this stuff. And as clearly as I'm speaking to you right now, he said, you got that Discover card, ain't nothing on it. Okay, you're right. So let me just charge up what I need on the Discover card and just pay it off. You're going to pay a month. Okay. And that's what I did. And so I got signs out. It was this company. You remember the restaurant? I think they called it Sharks. It was right on the corner, 150, where it dead ends, where you can go left or right, and there's that little business section over there.
Yes, yes, yes.
There used to be a restaurant right there on the corner.
Okay.
In the back, they did campaign paraphernalia. Who knew?
Yeah, who knew? I did
Who
not.
knew?
I did not know.
Who knew? So I went in there and somebody said, go there. And I was like, I'm not looking for anything to eat. I need to, order campaign, pay for campaign. They said, go in there. So I went in there. The guy took a headshot and I wrote up everything. And I still think I have one of my first campaign push cards. And we wrote it up and he told me what the cost was. And we charged it to the Discover card.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and, I made my rounds, worked. Every Sunday we get off work and go to different churches, still would be in uniform. And I would explain to the congregation, I apologize and I'm in this uniform. Still have two daughters that I need to take care of. The lights still have to go on. The heat still has to come on. Air, food still needs to be in the refrigerator. So I leave work after working overnight and I'm coming to talk with you all. So I hope you all don't take this as a disrespect. And it was open and welcome. So I went from church to church to church. And sometimes I would take clothes and leave and not eat lunch or anything. And about 6, I would sneak off, go shower, put on something decent, and then go to church that way. So then that's what I started doing. And worked the campaign trail. Didn't have that many people who supported me financially. Actually, I ran the campaign off myself. So, which in essence, Cal, was one of the best things that God did for me because I wasn't beholden to anyone.
True.
I didn't have to give anybody honor and credit and praise to that, but nobody but my Lord and Savior.
Amen.
So that was a very good thing. And so did all my speeches, made all the rounds, and it came down, and I think this was the deciding factor. I had gotten off work, had went out to church, and it was the Sunday before the election. And one of my best friends, Nick, attorney Nick Laster, we all went to law school together. We shared office space, and I was in here asleep. And the phone was ringing, and I finally heard it, and I said hello. And then Nick, he was like, Lorraine. And I was like, what? He was like, did you see the Sunday's paper? And I said, no, I bought one, but why? What's going on? He's like, Lorraine, have you not looked at the Sunday's paper? And I was like, Nick, I just told you no. What's going on? He said, get the paper. So, Cal, I pulled the paper out. And so, you know how the Birmingham News writes up and tell you all about the candidates and everything. Well, under my picture was the incumbent judge's name. And under her picture was my name. And you're thinking, okay, so what's the big? The incumbent judge is white. Lorraine's black.
Mm-hmm.
So my name is under her. Wait a minute, how did it go now? Yes, my name is under her picture, and her name is under my photograph in the paper. And
Wow.
I began to laugh. And he said, why are you laughing? I said, because do you not see them little video white ladies going to push that ballot? And they're going to look at that name under that white lady's picture, and that's who they're going to vote for. And he said, you are insane. I said, I didn't do this. I said, but it's absolutely genius. He said, well, what about the black voters? I said, the black voters know Lorraine Pringle black.
Wow.
And if you go back to that article, and it's still, I cut it out, but I can still go online and find it. And of course, she called and raised holy stand, as I would have too. But the correction wasn't coming to Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
The election was on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So it was going to be too late. And it
Oh,
turned out to
absolutely. Yeah.
be that's what that God has a plan over our lives. And sometimes the twists and turns that we take in it, we have no idea where we're going, but He knows where we're going. And so that night, with 99% of the boxes in, I had a clear commanding lead. And legally and literally, I had won. So I remember Taylor saying to me, Mom, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to bed. And she said, well, there's a box that hasn't come in yet. I said, baby, if she get the votes she need out of that one box, then she deserved to win.
Mm-hmm.
Mommy going to bed because mommy tired. And so, and she said, no, let's go down to the campaign site and let's just go to where the elections come in and everything. And I was like, oh, okay, Lord, this is not what I want to do, but okay, we're going to go. So we got up, we went, and we were in there. And when they called it, Lorraine Williams Pringle had won the election.
Oh, praise God.
And it was Taylor, Ashley, and myself, and we were downtown in the Democratic headquarters, and tears just sprang forth from my eyes. And that night, I got the best sleep that I had gotten during the entire campaign trail.
Sure.
Because you're always, even when you're asleep, you're not asleep because you're constantly trying to think of what I need to do, where I need to go, who haven't I spoken to, and what do I need to try to convey about me to help me to win. And it was so funny, Cal, because you just got to put people in the right place for you. And so I would get a call and say, girl, you would not believe people up here saying, well, I heard she a nurse. And somebody said, okay, so she a nurse. You still have to go to law school in order to become a judge, don't you? So she did go to law school. Didn't she go to law school too? And they were like, well, yeah, so what her nursing got to do with it?
Nothing. Absolutely
Nothing.
nothing. I mean,
Abs-
people have dual careers all the time. What are we doing?
what are we doing, Kale? And I was like, oh, well, it seemed like it'd be to y'all advantage that I'm a nurse.
Hmm.
I mean, because when these people coming in here saying, well, he's just been like this, and that one guy even told me while he was like, I smoked marijuana one time, and the doctor said that one time was gonna make me a chronic use. And I said, you lying. And he, excuse me. I said, sir, I'm an RN. One time use marijuana does not make you a chronic user. Multiple trips to marijuana land makes you a chronic user, but
Hmm.
not a single smoking of a marijuana cigarette gonna make you a chronic user. He was like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, sir? What are we doing? What are we doing?" And so I think about my mom and my grandmom and my aunt often because this is so necessary of a conversation because this is Women History Month.
That's true.
And it's, to me, is Women Empowering Month. And if we don't encourage and empower each other, no one else really is going to. There are a ton of young ladies who need conversations like this to be had, to see women like you and I, whose background was not the silver spoon, as people would say, that we actually had to work at what we've gotten, Cal, and we've earned it.
I agree. I mean,
Every bit of it, it was not handed to us.
not at all.
Even when we were the most qualified nurses on that unit to be that next nurse manager or supervisor, no, can't do that. Because
No.
we were looked
Mm-mm.
over and stepped over. So
Mm-mm.
much so until one lady asked me one day, and that's how she said, "You are not seeking a position?" I said, "No, ma'am, because see, that's a headache waiting to happen. I don't need you calling me in the middle of the night because nobody showed up for a shift and staffing is low, so that nurse manager needs to crawl herself up out of her bed to come in here and work and then hang over for the rest of the morning, make sure the rest of the day is no, I'm good, baby."
I,
And sometimes
I,
we have to,
I agree
we have
with
to,
you. Mm-mm.
we have to wonder, what we're doing, because to have a title as nurse manager is wonderful and great, supervisor, whatever, nurse coordinator, however you want to have it. But that doesn't mean you have any more education than you and I who are that bedside nurse.
Agreed.
We all had to get that RN degree. We all had to sit through that state board of nursing exam. We all had to go through our clinical rotations. We all had a internship or new hire, however you want to term it. But we all had to learn how to care for our own patients. So that title doesn't detract or add to me necessarily. Is how I embody that degree within myself.
I totally agree with you. I was reminiscing just the other day. I was a case manager at one of the local hospitals, and I was on call.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're covering the entire house.
Yes, ma'am.
So a, a situation came up, and the supervisor, the weekend supervisor, gave out poor information, very poor information.
Oh.
And I couldn't find the patient at the hospital where she sat. So they told me the patient wasn't there. That was the end of it for me. So the following day, which was Sunday, they're calling. We want to get our patient transferred over here. I said, okay, you'll have to speak with the house supervisor, which is one of the directors. They rotate that. And do you know that director would not pick up the phone? In fact, I could tell she was out shopping. And she left a message with the operators, do not disturb me.
Hmm.
And so I told them, this is patient's business. This is hospital business. She is a director. She's on call. If you don't call her, I'm going higher. She has no right to tell you guys not to call. She has a job to do. So she called back in a huff, like I was supposed to be concerned.
Right.
And I told her, this is your call. You have to accept this patient, not me. And so she was like, but no, I said,
Mm.
no, you are on call and you have to accept that responsibility. I said all that to say this. We finally got the patient over, but like I said, the initial call, she had the wrong name of the patient and the wrong name of the facility. So how can I find them? It's not going to happen. So when she called, she, I tracked it down some type of way. My director, the following Monday, because we have to submit our paperwork to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "How was your weekend?" I said, "You didn't read the report." No, I didn't. I
No,
didn't
she
read the
did.
report. And I said, "Well, since you don't think enough to care, I don't think enough to talk." And I was through for the day. I'm not talking to you. That is such a slap in the face. That lets you know that everyone who has a title is it they are not worth their salt. They are not concerned about the patients. They're not concerned about the hospital. They're only concerned about their title.
And
Because if it
listen,
wasn't for
you live.
patients, none of us would be
Hmm,
here.
we surely wouldn't.
Mhm.
And
And
I
she,
can remember in the ICU, didn't work night shift, didn't like to work night shift, but for whatever reason, I was on a night shift. I called the pulmonologist who was on call. Patient was having some difficulties. I needed some changes. I needed to know what else to do with the ventilator and this. He politely told me, don't call me anymore about this patient. And I said, excuse me? He said, you heard what I said. Don't call me anymore about this patient. I said, okay. PO, Dr. So and so, do not call me anymore regarding this patient. Verbal order written in the chart. I call respiratory. We tried to do whatever we thought we could do to get the patient settled along with medication, and we did. I needed to get that patient through until 7 o'clock when I could hand her off. That pulmonologist came in, picked up the chart, and he said, "Who wrote this?" He came in about 6:40, 6:45. He said, "Who wrote this order?" I said, "I did." He said, "Why did you write this?" I said, "Because that's what you said to me. Don't call me anymore about this patient." I did not mean for you to take it as an order. I said, "Well, what did you mean for me to take it as?"
because it really was an order.
It was an order. He said, "You can't do that." I said, "Yes, I can." And I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, I'm taking it out of there." I said, "You can do whatever you like with it. But it has been entered on the record. And however you want to say you did or didn't do, I know what you did, what you said to me. It is dated, it is properly timed, and it is given everything as to when I called. The service can verify that I called and went through the service to get you. They can verify that you called back through the service. And these phones have caller ID now. So there is a documentation of when you call back. So please don't say to me that this did not happen, because it did.
I tell the new nurses, I have told them over the years, don't call directly to the physician. Always go through the answering service because that is a record. Because
It
he
is.
can easily say, I never got the call. So when you go through the answering service, they have to document the call. And some of them will call you back. Did he call you back?
They
It's
sure
either
did at
yes
the
or no.
time.
Hey, it's either yes or no. But that documentation will save you. And They were like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here to tell me that. I never knew that. I get it. I get it. I'm not here to
Mm-hmm.
watch you drown, but I'm going to
Mm-mm.
help you. I'm going to help you. But if you don't want to listen to what I have to say, then that's on you." Everyone has to answer to someone. There is no
Absolutely.
one here who does not have to answer to someone. And that is your physician, that physician as well. And so one guy said, "I'm just eavesdropping, but I'm sure gonna start doing that because I usually just call direct." I said, when I realized that once you have been talked to real crazy, you know
Mm-hmm.
what to do. And I'm like you, I'm documenting what you said. I don't have a problem not documenting. You are big enough to say it, I'm big enough to write it down.
I'm not big enough wrote it in that chart, big enough to and had a call back, and here comes the nurse manager of the unit. Well, Lorraine, yes. You can't write that. Why can't I?
Yes, I
It was an
can.
order.
Hmm.
Wait, I don't think you understand the complication. Oh, I understand the ramifications and complications as well. But what he didn't understand was I understood him very well as he should have as well.
True.
Because he's this patient's doctor.
Hmm.
We are the nurses there on the front line 24/7.
Yes.
Y'all go home and go to sleep, but somebody still up at that hospital should be tending to that patient.
Hmm.
And if we have an issue, we're to call you to say, this is what's going on. What am I supposed to do now?
I agree. Because we're not the doctors. We don't write the orders.
We sure do not. So from there, I became that judge and I absolutely loved it. 2 terms on the bench, loved it. Being a family court judge was very fulfilling in the manner of removing children who are being abused from abusive situations, allowing parents the opportunity to get some help so that we could possibly see if we could put them back together again, if we could rejoin the parents with their children. Sometimes we could, and sometimes we couldn't.
Hmm.
Um, and I just always looked at being a parent so different. I didn't want to do anything that put my children at risk. But not
High five.
everybody,
High five.
but
High five to the screen.
not everybody thinks of parenthood in that manner.
I know, but that was one of mine. I mean, it still is. I mean, high five. I'm just saying, high five. No, no, mm-mm, no, 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 no.
And the abuse that these small children have suffered at someone's hands, it I never when I took that job, I never knew what I was getting into until I got that job.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, that wasn't something I thought about because it wasn't something I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought of the number of parents who had children who really didn't want to be parents. You just want to them out to say you just want to be able to say you're a mom. But the job comes with more than that.
The resume is very lengthy. Once you become a parent, it is very lengthy.
Very lengthy, very selfless.
Yes,
You cannot be a selfish parent.
cannot.
You cannot be, I'm thinking about me. You cannot be, well, this is what I thought I had earmarked this for. I've seen this pair of shoes, and this is really what I wanted to get. And the next thing you know, somebody coming home, there's this assignment that's now due, and XYZ materials are not needed. And now you got to dip off into that shoe fund money that you were saving because that's what parenting is.
It is. It
And
is.
so don't tell me that you sending these kids to school and okay, it's different when you know they're gonna have breakfast at school. And if your child doesn't qualify for that, then you need to make sure your child has eaten before they leave home in the morning.
True.
If it's a Pop Tart, I never understood why I ate those because I thought those were the most yucky looking things in the world. But is it cereal? One wanted cereal. The other one wanted bacon and toast and some
Mhm.
eggs. So you had to get up and start your day early enough that you got them squarely prepared
Mhm.
to have their meals and going to school prepared to do what they needed to do, which was to learn. And thinking about how you send them off when they got out of your car. Was it have a good day, or you SOB, or you SO this, and you da 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 da? Curse them out before they get in the classroom, but you want them to perform well in the classroom. How
Yes.
can they when only thing they're replaying in their mind is the last words that you said to them getting out the car?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of sacrifices when you become a parent. If you're going to take the job seriously, because it is a work. It is a work, you know. And yeah, you want to pinch their little heads off some days. We're not saying that that's not what we did, but yes, we wanted to. You know.
Listen, when I got a call when it was St. Aloysius that Taylor, well, no, that's not how it went. Taylor told me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention her name, but anyway, she was like, I have to stay after school for some help today. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay. So then I get a call from the teacher saying, you sure are taking this well because we know you. And I was like, what? She said she needed some math help. She said she has a 95 average. What she need math help with? She had a detention. Oh, so you have told me that you need math help, but you actually got after school detention for cutting up.
Mhm.
Okay. And she says, so I asked her, well, what did your mom think she was signing this for? And she said, oh, I just told her I needed some help with some. So she decided to call and tell me the real reason. She said, so is there anything you want me to tell her? I said, just tell her you talked to her mom.
That's all she needed to hear.
She said, is that it? I said, mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we're great. Just tell her you talked to her mom. And she said, you're so calm about this. I said,
good.
uh-huh. That's all you need to tell. That was it. Because those are the kind of games we're not gonna play. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You know, working, being in career fields where you are challenged from stem to stern.
Mm.
And that's where I'm back on nursing, but I don't know anything about being a judge. But I'm just saying, you are always thinking when you are a nurse. You have that patient forever on your mind when you
Mhm.
are a nurse. And
Mhm.
I just want to think, and you're here to correct me. Being a judge would be the same thing.
It
You
is.
know, you always
It
have
is
people on your mind. You're trying to process. You When I would come home after being a case manager, you know, yeah, it sounds wonderful, but you talk about had me thinking outside the box to
the
get
box wasn't it. You were thinking outside the world because you were steadily trying to figure out. We were steadily trying to figure out, okay, well, if we do this,
Mhm,
these are possibly the results that could happen.
mhm.
But then that little being would be like, well, what about this? Now I want to think about that one right there.
Yeah.
Well, we got to give a little thought to this. Okay,
Mhm,
so now we got to circle back around and think about all this. Yes, especially with, like I said, with my clientele was birthed to generally 19 years. It could be up to 21, but it was generally birthed to 19 years. That's a lot
mhm.
of time span in between.
It is.
And it's a lot of time span of removing children from the very people who were meant to take care of them. And then it was a lot of, especially when you have children who can actually tell you in their way of what was going on.
Mhm.
And one thing I know about children is they are resilient and they have an unconditional love for their parents. even when they are being abused by them, most of them will still want to be with mom and dad.
I've seen that. I understand that because you have a commonality with that individual. You have a relationship with that individual. It's innate, but you know them.
And
You
my
know
take
them.
was better the devils that you know
Yes.
than the ones that you don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because not every foster home is a great foster home.
Sure.
And not every relative is a good relative.
That's absolutely true.
And so, kids just be like, yeah, mom and dad may fight and argue and say bad things, but we know they'll settle down and we just know how to go hide, scurry someplace, get out of the way until things settle down. And that's a sad way for a small child to have to grow up.
Yes, because as much as you don't want to carry that weight, you carry it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you carry it through adulthood, even though you know how to process things.
Mm-hmm.
You
Or
carry it
you think
into
you do
adulthood.
anyway.
Yeah, because some memories you just can't erase.
And the other thing, Cal, is that God has this wonderful ability that he'll put them in a place, and it may be years before something happens that triggers one of those memories.
Mm-hmm.
And you will then go back and they'll all start flooding back, but you'll be like, dang, I hadn't thought about stuff like this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What triggered all of this? And you never know what that is.
You never know. It could be someone else acting out. Let's say I'm patient. Okay. Just acting out in the room. Just want to just show out that day. And you can look in a person's eyes. And as we know, eyes are the windows to the soul. And you can tell if they are really gone off the deep end or if they're just seeking
Act.
some attention.
Uh-huh.
And I'd be like, if you don't sit down somewhere, and they look at me,
You were nice. I distinctly remember it was two new nurses on the unit. And I mean, freshly passed board nursing exam, and we oriented them on the unit, and they were in this patient room. I remember what room it was. They were in there with this patient. She is in restraints, but she has somehow gotten, she was so thin, she has gotten through the bed rail, and she is on the floor. And they are desperately trying to get her back in bed. They have gotten her restraints undone and let the rail down. And I am just standing across the hallway just looking at this. And she has got these two new nurses. I mean, she is taking them through the ringer down through there. And I walked in that doorway and I said, if you don't get your back in that bed
mm-hmm.
immediately, it is going to be a problem in here. She stood up and she tapped her foot and she said, well, I know when I'm licked, and crawl back in that bed.
I mean, they know who they can play with and who they can't.
Those nurses turned around and looked at
Mm-hmm.
me and they said, are you serious? Are you kidding us right now? I said, hey, I didn't do anything but come here and tell her to get back in the bed. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were the ones in here all under the bed with all on the floor. No, I don't have time for all that. I can't do all that.
They were her playmates, and she was gonna let them play.
And she was playing, baby. She was playing.
It's just wild. It's just absolutely wild. It's wild. It is absolutely wild. But those are the stories that strengthen us or help us make it through the day because they're real. You can't make it up.
They are real. You cannot. And then those are they're the ones where, oh, you've taken care of this patient, Carol, you poured your all into it, them, and no family would ever come see about them.
Yes.
And you would just be, I would be so defeated as to say, how can you have somebody up in here and not ever come to see about them? And one day, God spoke to me and he said, but how do you know that she was a good mother?
I got that advice from one of my coworkers when I first became an LPN. And I was working with her, and she always just had wisdom nuggets for me, always. And I saw her not too long ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, I remember basically everything you ever told me. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
tell her, but one of the things she told me, don't get upset if a patient doesn't have visitors. And I was like, my mind wasn't on that. I'm trying to pass these bills. And I was like, so what now? If a patient doesn't have visitors, don't get upset about it. Don't be feeling sorry for him because we don't know how he treated that family and why people aren't coming to see him. He may have a past that we're truly not aware of because he's just coming in here for
True.
that. So that reminded
Mm-hmm.
me of she said, just keep an open mind when it came to that. And I was like, wow. So when people say, oh, you just a nurse or you're a nurse, they don't know what
Baby,
put
I am just the gatekeeper that has kept your family member alive.
you're
I
just a nurse. I know.
I I fed them. I made sure their medications were given. I've encouraged them to get out of the chair, even when they told me that they weren't. And all the same time, I'm putting a pillow, a blanket over that chair, putting a pillow to the back of, and say, "Yeah, we getting out of this bed. I'm not getting up out of the bed. Okay." Letting that bed all the way down, raising the head as high as it would go, calling a couple of texts. Okay, y'all, come on, we're finna get so and so up out this bed.
Absolutely. I mean, this is for your benefit. It does not benefit me, but it is a part of what we need to do to get you on the road to recovery.
Absolutely.
And what goes on with people? You're not helping me. I'm helping you. So don't be acting like I told her. No, no, and I'm finna show you.
No, you didn't, but it's okay. If you think
Yeah,
you did, it's okay.
yeah, it's crazy. And it's just wow. The emotional, the mental, the physical that goes into careers. Someone said something about he was a bartender, and he said, I'm just like you all, you nurses. I hear
How?
all of the stories. So one of the nurses fired back, yeah, but if you give the wrong drink, nobody's gonna die. And Lord, nurses have a comeback, boy. They have. Well, I just was so embarrassed. I wouldn't even look in his eye, because I couldn't, because you can't it's you can't
You
make
can't
the
compare the
comparison. You
2.
can't make the
Mm-mm,
comparison. Because
mm-mm.
come on, you here for probably a 4 hour shift. We're around here trying to do this thing. But and he was serious. He was very, very serious. And the nurse was too. She said, your patient's not gonna die if you give the wrong drink. That ain't happening. So let's just kind of be open to listen. And
Mhm.
some people, I don't care how much you explain things to them, they, well, what if this? And why I said, look, it's just
Okay,
so complex. It's complex.
mm-mm.
The human person is complex, and some of them want to be complex.
And some of them don't, but then, it's I told somebody who was in law school, they kept asking the professor, "What if?" I said, "Please, can we not what if this question to death?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always gonna be a different scenario that can foresee itself. But I came here to learn something. I didn't come here to hear you what if this to the 10th degree and beyond."
I agree, because there's you're going too far out on that ledge that sometimes all it takes is, sir, what's really going on with you today? Well, I'm just mad because she act like she didn't want to give me my medicine, and she talked real ugly to me, and so I didn't feel like being bothered with her. Okay, sir. I'm sorry that happened to you, but let's get back on track now. Well, I appreciate you at least listening. Some people just want you to listen to them. Don't push that cup of pills in their face. Don't push that water in their face and walk away.
And if nothing else, ladies and nurses and gentlemen who are nurses, when y'all got to give all those meds down those peg tubes, please just can you dissolve them in some little bit of coffee or some Pepsi Cola, please, so that the end of the peg tube is not going to be stopped up.
Oh,
All of
yeah.
that stuff is going to be dissolved. That coffee and Pepsi going to push you right on through there, and they're going to get every bit of what they need.
It goes back to an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You're not in that big a hurry to give the medicine. Just make
Mm-mm.
sure that you're giving them correctly because
Mm-hmm.
you have an 8-hour shift. And if you're fortunate enough, you're doing a 4-hour shift. But take that opportunity to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Don't cause the patient any more harm or any more discomfort. Give them what
And
they
to,
need. Give them
and
what
to
they need.
all those family members who want to call you from 2,500 miles away, you better, excuse me, wait. We're the ones here at your family member bedside, and you're gonna call and threaten the very person who has to take care of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Please tell me what sense that makes.
None. Absolutely none.
You better.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right. And if I don't, then what's gonna happen?
yeah.
And how you gonna know it didn't happen? Like I said, you 2,500 miles away. How you gonna know?
I'll be gone by the time you get here, madam.
Okay. And that's our point.
Yeah, my people. Well, the
Girl,
Lord is
listen.
crazy.
Kale, I truly believe that when God made nurses, He knew that there were going to be things that we never should have seen. And He's
Mm-hmm.
sitting there getting a big chuckle about, yeah, I know you didn't see that one coming. And He is so right.
It's so true because what's in the book is not what's in the bed.
Say that again.
It's just not. And I think that's what intrigued me about nursing. Nursing, everybody knows nursing was not on my radar. But once I got in and
Really?
started, no, I wanted to either be an educator or an OT, occupational therapist. Nursing was
Okay.
not on my radar. So when I haphazardly, when someone mentioned the LPN program, I was like, yeah, why not? I'm not doing anything. So I went and fell in love with it. The more I was in class, the more I was in clinical, the more I loved it. And so coming to the end of the term,
Mm-hmm.
we went around the room and our instructor wanted to know what were our plans after
Mm-hmm.
graduation. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to work 1 year as an LPN. And if I like it, I'm going to RN school. And she said, oh, do you have a school in mind? I said, I have two, but the better one is going to be Sanford. The other one is too far away. And that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
So, yes, but it's because I loved it. It intrigued me. You learn so much.
And see, I went to Sanford simply because they said, well, in 2 years, you can go take the nursing examination. You pass, your nurse. And I was like, 2 years, 24 months. Okay, that's doable. I can do that. And so, like you, got into it, enjoyed it. Clinicals, I love. And I think, and it didn't hurt that for whatever reason in the financial aid office, they thought I was white.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me a lot of scholarship money. Until I actually had to go in and and they said, and they called my name and they was like, you're Lorraine Williams. And I said, I am. They said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Well, last time I checked this morning, I got up, I was her, and pulled my grades, and they said, 'This is you?' And I said, 'Yeah.' And I was like, 'What's the issue?' Oh, nothing." Well, my grades was good, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
I was making straight A's and B's. And that should have been somebody else. So after that in-person meeting, the scholarship money kind of dwindled up. But by then I was on, maybe I only had that one semester to go. So I got a loan from AmSouth and got through that semester, passed the uh, nursing exam, got a job. And so I went back and made reservations, arrangements to pay off the loan. And the lady at Ann South Bank looked at me and she said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yes. Why?" And she said, "Well, one, we don't have that many people who come in and voluntarily make arrangements to pay off their student loan. That's number one. But why are you doing that?" I said, "Because somebody else will need a student loan.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep having people who don't pay off their student loan, then student loans aren't going to be there as they need to be."
True. True. Very true. I just going through those first 2 years was really good for me. It's kind of like I eased on through.
Mhm.
So I was like, I remember telling you, because I think you were at another school, and I said, you need to come over here. They're going to welcome you with open arms. And you were like, really? I said, oh, really? I said, they have the 2 year program, and then you can, once you finish, then you can go into your bachelor's if you so
Mhm.
desire.
And that's
And you were
exactly
like,
what I
oh,
did.
let me think about that. Well, next thing I knew, you're on campus. You didn't take long, but it was
Mhm.
great. And I don't even think they have that associate degree program anymore, which is fine. Everybody, morphs into what's best for them.
Well,
But
but I still think they should have kept it because at least you got good qualified nurses either
really,
way.
that's true. That's true.
Either way.
Mm-hmm.
And if they wanted to go back and get their bachelor's, then they had that opportunity that they could do that, which
Mm-hmm.
would, the pay wasn't that extravagant, extraordinarily different between the associate's degree and the bachelor's degree. It really wasn't.
It was not.
But it just gave you more opportunities if you were going to go up that career ladder. That's all that bachelor's degree did for you. But in a time that we have right now, we need to have that associate's degree availability back because some people don't want to do we did what 3.5, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Places like UAB, it was generally like 5 years to get that bachelor's degree. Some people just want to get that associate's degree and go to work
They do.
and earn a living and have a career and be able to take care of themselves and if they have a family.
And some people, they are second degree people,
Hmm.
or they left school to raise their families, and
Hmm.
they all they want is that associate degree. They're coming back into school at an age where a lot of people are thinking of, oh, my kids are grown, I'm just gonna chill.
I'm ready to
But
retire, do something different.
but they, to me, are more dedicated to the cause. They are more bought into what is needed,
Hmm.
and they're some of your better students.
It's to me the same way when I think about law school because everybody would say, "Well, you went to law school at night." Yeah, I did.
Hmm.
That's the person who really wants to be a lawyer. Because you telling me I don't work a full 8-hour job someplace, and then I done got off of that job, and enough time to maybe go through somebody's drive through, grab something to eat, and then I'm gonna go sit in somebody's classroom for another 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta want that.
You gotta want it. You have,
I
and
got to
that's like
want
those
that.
people with the second, trying to get a second degree, or their first degree, but they decided to raise their families and be a
Hmm.
housewife. So yes, they are hungry for it. One of my students, she came up to me because I do clinical instruction as well. I take them to their clinical site, and
God bless you.
she said, "Oh, it's such rewarding. It's
That's
very
why I say
rewarding."
God bless you. No,
And she's
ma'am.
like, "Do you think I can get my bachelor's and learn how to and be an educator?" I said, "Absolutely, you can. What's to stop you?" Well, she recognized me before I recognized her because it was a few years later. And she said, "Remember me?" And it was during COVID and we all were masked up. And I said, "I remember the face." She said, "I asked you, did you think I could go back to school? I wanted to be an educator. I wanted
Hmm.
to teach nursing. Where here I am. I am an educator and I am teaching nursing." So I'm like, gave her the biggest hug. We hugged each other and she said, "It's because of you. It is truly because of you." And then she takes the mic because she's teaching one of the seminars and she calls me out and I'm like, "Look
Oh,
at him."
please.
But it was such a beautiful thing that some people really will go ahead and give you your flowers while you yet live.
Thank
And
you.
because she said she told me I could do it and she had no doubt that I could do it. And here I am doing it. And she's over there and she called my name. So I stood up. So it's just that what we pour into people,
Hmm.
you want to pour the best because
And
you
it has
never
a
know.
way of coming. It comes back to you. It may not come back the way you poured it, but God has a way of bringing it back to you.
And that's
And one of
very
the
true.
things, and one of the things I really do wish that they had never done away with was the True Baylor program
Oh,
because
I
that gave a
agree.
lot of
I
mothers,
agree.
moms, the opportunity to help support their families and take care of things and still be that full time mom during the week. I
I
really
agree.
do. I
I
wish
did
they
True
would
Baylor
keep
and
that.
I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
loved it.
ma'am, I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when people tell me, "Yeah, I do 312s," I said, "That's not real Baylor." You might as well just say
No,
you full
it's
time.
not.
You full time
When they say
weekends.
that, the way they say, I say, "You do what?
Are they
That's
playing
not
you, boo?
Baylor." I
I
said,
don't.
"Y'all,
Mm-mm. They
y'all
playing
need
you,
to look
boo.
at Texas where the Baylor program was originated from. It was never originated off of 3 12-hour shifts.
Hmm.
Never."
And yeah, it was weekends. It was
Hmm.
weekends. So either you worked five with your four shifts, or you
Hmm.
worked your Baylor, which was Saturday and Sunday, whether it's 7A to 7P, 7P to 7A. That was true Baylor. And I did that for about 3 years and I loved it.
I did it longer than that until they
Hmm.
made it the 3 week, 3 day. And then I was coming to the point where I was getting ready to run. But that Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday,
Hmm.
you couldn't beat it.
No,
You
you could.
could
I
not
did
beat it.
Saturday and Sunday.
You
Hmm.
could not beat it.
Yep. I went to church on Wednesdays. So no,
Could
you couldn't beat it.
could
Uh,
not beat it because it gave you the accessibility to do there for your young children. And you and I had um, children around the same age, and it let you be that mom during the week, that breadwinner during the week as well, and you could get everything tidied up and knew where everything was. Yes, you could not beat it. The
no,
original Baylor program was absolutely hands down the best of both worlds.
it really was. It really was. I enjoyed every minute of it. Well, Judge Pringle, do you have any closing remarks for people? One thing, I'm going to let you say it. I'm going to let you do the closing remarks because, like you say, this is it International Women's Month? It's definitely Women's Month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there are some young ladies out there. I want them to be inspired from your story. They've heard mine, but I want them to know there's alternatives out here. You just have to want to get them. And I love your rides of your career. Honestly, I do.
Well, thank you again, Cal, for having me. Thank you for our friendship that has spanned some decades. We'll just leave it like that.
Yeah, we'll leave it like that. They ain't got to know it all.
But I will say to those who are listening, who are thinking about their life, what their careers are, for those who are in it, who are unhappy with it, and for those who are just seeking something different. I once said to my youngest daughter, Mommy has had 3 jobs. And she started laughing hysterically. And I was thinking in my head, what is wrong with her? What
What's
did I
so
say?
funny?
What did I say that was so funny? And she looked at me. She said, You've never had a job. And I said, Excuse me? She said, Mom, you've had 3 careers. And I went, Oh. She said, You never had a job. Yours were careers.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies, think about what it is that you love to do and what you're most interested in and what you really want to do in your life. And don't let anyone deter you from your dreams and your aspirations and hope. But first and foremost, put God in the head of everything and let him direct and guide your path. And for the naysayers who come into your life, don't argue with people. You know what you want to do and you can get there. They may not see what's inside you, but God sees what's inside of you. So don't shortchange yourself living somebody else's dream. Live your dream. And if it takes you 5 years to get there, guess what? It is okay. It's your dream.
It's your
But
dream.
but don't ever be, I wish I had done. Please don't. Don't do that to yourself. Don't say you did this, but this is not what you wanted to do, and I wished I had went ahead and did what I originally wanted to do. Do what it is He's put in your heart and your desire to do. Because if He's put it there, He has a way of showing you how to get there.
That is so true. I mean, hand clap, hand clap, hand clap. That is so true. It's your dream, it's your life. Just allow God to walk you through this situation. Just two caveats. I took chemistry on a summer 5-week term.
You were insane.
I was insane, but I was determined to get into that program at a certain time. The next summer, I took micro 5 weeks.
You
I,
was insane.
but I passed. No.
Listen, let me tell you, we went through chemistry 1 and chemistry 2. I wanted to be a nurse anesthetist. Baby, the alkenes and the alkynes had made me so sick. And they said, oh, to be a nurse anesthetist, you have to take 2 more years of chemistry. I said, you know what? I'm going to pivot right here because I don't love chemistry that bad. So
Mhm.
let me pivot right here. Mm-mm. So I was like, CRNA school, you have to, go through all of that. And then you're going up against the best of the best, which is absolutely what is necessary. I said, but I may have taken all these science and chemistry classes and I still don't get in. Let me look at this law degree. I can get into that. And I don't, no, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm a pivot. And that's how I did. I pivot.
Yeah, because everyone cannot walk that same walk. Everybody, that path may not be for you. It may take you a minute to get to know yourself, to figure
Mm-hmm.
yourself out, but make sure it's your dream and not someone else's. You
Absolutely.
will work better in your dream. Yeah, micro, and it wasn't a couple hours. We were there like 4 hours a day, okay? But it worked for me. Okay. And it didn't just work for me. It was a class of us. Okay.
Well,
Chemistry,
we had
the
to take
same way.
micro.
you know,
We had to
but,
take micro. But when
but,
that man told me to trace a drop of blood from my heart
mm-hmm,
to the tip of my baby finger
mm-hmm.
and back, oh, I was like, you done lost your mind. This it, baby, right here.
mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
So if it's your dream and you're not competing with anyone,
But
ladies,
yourself.
please hear me. You're not competing with anyone. What God has for you, He has for you. And His timing is perfect
It
timing.
sure is. Now that it is, Carolyn, if you have not said a true word, I'm gonna give you hand clap, hand clap. What God has for you, it is for you, and it is in His timing. But we can sometimes derail His timing when we listen to naysayers.
And the naysayers are here. They are on the sideline like you're in a parade. They are cheering for your fall. Okay. So you cannot listen to the naysayers. And I just was always Team Carolyn. Just always Team Carolyn. And whoever I buddied up with, we had to depart at some point in time, but it was not out of that any animosity. It just was
Absolutely not.
timing. It was
Mhm.
timing. And I don't regret being a nurse. It has
I
opened so
don't
many
either.
doors for me. I've done so many things in so many places with so many people all over the country, and I am just okay with it.
And you know what, Cal?
Mhm.
We know how to take care of ourselves.
Sure, sure.
Because my daughter said, when I called her, we had come back from Ghana and we had been home maybe about 10 days. And I called her and I said, I got to go to the emergency room. And she said, oh, you sick?
Mhm,
You calling me to go to an emergency room? Oh, you
mhm,
sick? Because you have tried everything you know how to make yourself feel better. If it hadn't happened, oh, you real sick. And it turned out
mhm.
I had the flu. She said, oh, yeah, you was sick. Because, see, I know you. You don't go to no hospital. You don't. And we don't. We'll figure out a way of trying to
Oh yeah,
self-heal before we go to the ER. No, ma'am. We not.
that's true. That's very true. We're going to diagnose ourselves for a minute. And then when that doesn't work within 24, 48 hours, then we tipping into the emergency room.
Yeah,
That's what we're going to do.
I'm gonna tell you one better than that. I was so sick, and I had done everything. And then I called the on-call doctor, and he said, "Well, you can go." I said, "Okay, wait. Before you tell me, I can go to the emergency room. I know that." I said, "But listen, walk with me through this path, and let me tell you, and I'll tell you what I think else might be going on." And I told him, and he said, "You know what? That's a possibility. I'm gonna call you in some antibiotics for what I think you just diagnosed yourself to have. And if you're not better within 36 hours," I said, "I'm gonna go to the emergency room."
Sure.
And true enough, it worked. I was like, "Baby, we will try some everything before we go to the ER."
Yeah, yeah. We don't want to be in there on that stretch if we don't have to be.
It's
That's
not
not,
so
hey, that's not
I
our
don't think it's
job.
I don't think it's that care. I just think it's that we know we're gonna go in there and act right, but we're gonna get entertained beyond the point of being entertained
Hmm.
by some of those family members who've come into the emergency room with a loved one. Well, why is it taking so long? We can't, it says emergency room. Yeah, man, but you know what? 75 other you all came in because it said emergency room.
Absolutely. You're not
And
the only one here. They have
you're
the
not the
staff.
only one here. There's a
Hmm.
whole waiting room full of people wanting to get back. We're seeing you all as quick as we can. Some of the stuff we need lab work. Y'all think you walk in here and in 30 minutes we're supposed to be walking back out. It does not work that way.
It does not. And why would you want it to? Why
Because
would, why would you want it to?
it's like that axiom, and I tell I dispel this for people all the time. They said, what is it? Oh, I say slow and steady, but they say, what's the other one?
Slow and
They
steady
want,
wins the race?
but they want a quick recovery.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
That's not how it's going to
Mm-mm.
work.
Mm-mm.
You want it to be slow and steady. So if there's going to be some setbacks, you can catch them early, but you don't want a quick recovery.
Mm-mm.
Baby, what's quick about recovery?
There is none. I tell people all the time, you didn't get sick overnight. Oh, yes, I did. I was fine yesterday. I said, no, you were sick yesterday and probably the day before.
You were
Okay.
sick weeks before, but you were trying to self-treat yourself,
Yeah.
and then it got here.
And
But you've
that's
been
why you're
sick for
here.
a while.
So I said, no, you didn't get sick overnight, boo. No, no, they didn't happen that way. We would like to think that, but, and then their family member would say, yeah, she has been kind of puny for the last couple of days. And it's
Uh-huh.
not that we want to be right and you're wrong. It's just that we know how disease processes go. That's
It's the
just,
reality of it, and and some people don't want to ever see the reality of it. You just want to be better, and we understand that. I promise you, as nurses, we do, because we want you to feel better. Because that
absolutely.
way, then you stop every 5 minutes. I'm not better yet. Okay, but I just gave you that pain shot. And it doesn't work as quickly as they say it does. You want to have to give it at least 10 to 15 minutes for them to it go through the muscle system, even if it's IV, ma'am. Might hit you a little bit at first quickly, but it's still, you got to give it the process. Don't want the process, not the
No,
process.
no. We're in that microwave generation in so many level on so many levels. But you have to, and like I tell people, you have to heal from the inside out.
That we do. And in closing, Kat, let me just say one other thing.
Sure.
Ladies, and whomever else is listening, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else out there doesn't just have to be one set field that you are falling to. You may have more than one career inside of you. So don't limit yourself to just one thing and think that's it, that's a wrap, because it isn't.
I agree. Hand clap, hand clap. Look at the two of us. Hand clap, hand clap.
Girl, listen, look at us.
Yes, 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 yes. You don't have to be one and done. You do not have
You
to
do
be one
not.
and done.
You don't.
It's
Because
good.
whoever would have thought we would have gone from nursing you to being an author, oh my goodness, and to all the other things that encompass your life besides being that wife, that mom, that daughter, that sister, all the other fields. But Carolyn, we have seen so much. I won't
Yes,
say we've been through so much.
we've seen a lot. We've seen a
we've been
lot.
privileged to see a lot.
And that has been a blessing. It really, really has.
Absolutely.
And I thank God for it. Honestly,
Oh
I do.
yes, yes. It would not have happened without him. Mm-mm.
And I'm thankful for the career path. There are going to be hiccups along the way, but that's just what they are, hiccups. But if you stay the course, you're going to win. You're going to achieve the goal. You're going to achieve it.
But he
Yeah.
tells us in his word, there's going to be trials
And tribulations.
and
Absolutely.
tribulations. That's it.
Yeah. Well, Judge Pringle, I have truly enjoyed having you. It has been great going down portions of memory lane. We couldn't tell
Thank
it all,
you.
people. We could not tell it all. But
We're not telling it all.
but it has been great. You never know how people are going to weave in and out of your life, and they bring you life whenever you see them because whenever we see each other, we just kind of stop in our tracks, give each other a big smile, a big grin, a hug, talk for a few minutes or a little longer, and then we part ways because we have been busy career women.
And the thing about that, Carol, is that it may be a year apart, it may be 6 months, but whenever we see each other, it's still that same wonderful smile
Oh,
that
absolutely.
pops up on our face, that
Absolutely.
same big old hug, and that same girl. What are you up to
Yeah.
nowadays?
Tell me, tell me, and it's all good. It is
It is
absolutely all
all
good.
good, all
It
good.
is. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Gentry's journey. I have enjoyed having you on. Um, I like my podcast because it is varied. I interviewed quite a few people, different aspects of life, different parts of the country, and it has been good for me. to learn,
Absolutely.
to grow, to do, and to give people a platform where they can share their story.
And you know what, that the wonderful thing about that is, you said all those things and more, but the ability to let God use you in a
Amen.
way that you probably never saw yourself of being used.
Because I did ask him, what is it you would have me to do? What is
And
it you
so
would have
when
me to
we
do?
maintain that servant's heart
Mm-hmm.
and that servant spirit,
Yes.
where we may, somebody may not appreciate it, but the one who sits high and look low, he always appreciates it.
Amen. 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 Well, you have a wonderful evening. I receive that. And we will chat later.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me once again. And to the listeners, this has been Judge Lorraine W. Pringle, social science degree in nursing, bachelor science degree in nursing, Juris Doctorate degree in the field of law, and retired district court judge. Look at that. From a girl from little old side of Pipe Shop, Alabama.
I
Come on.
tell you, hey, we never know what God's plan is. Let's just be in position so we can deal with it, so we can
Absolutely.
receive it and work it and work it.
Thank you so much, Cal, again for having me. I really have appreciated it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Same to you.